our study on creation tonight. I've been assigned the topic of evolutionary hoaxes. Just a little bit of background, because there's some people in here who don't know who I am, so I'll make sure that you kind of understand. I am not a preacher. I am just a member here. My background is in finance right now, but when I lived in Wyoming, there's a purpose to this. When I lived in Wyoming, I had a paper route. And on the paper route, I would ride the bike, and I had a geologist who lived on my route. And that was during the time in the paper route that you went and delivered papers, but you also went and collected. So, before school, I delivered papers. After school, went to try to get more people to sign up, and then once a month to collect the bills. Well, I had a geologist in the neighborhood that I delivered to. It was always interesting. During the summertime, he was gone, his wife was there, but when he returned, he always brought back a lot of artifacts from across the globe. And I really enjoyed going to his house to collect his money. And we'd end up sitting there talking about 30, 35 minutes. And I learned a lot. Coming out of Mars Hill Bible School, very conservative in Florence, Alabama, then you started looking at, this guy didn't try to convince me from atheism or geology or anything, but it was just interesting looking at the rocks. So from that, they had a teacher there that came in and discussed creation. He discussed evolution. He discussed the fossil records. He discussed biology, chemistry. So those things had my interest piqued, and then I began to question some of the things that I had been taught, had accepted in earlier studies. And a lot of those facts that I accepted were just simply a quick and easy way to answer a question and shove it off. So in college, I majored in engineering, so I have a BS, Bachelor of Science in Engineering. So I've taken all the fun courses of the physics, the calculus, the quantum mechanics, and those things. I tell you, quantum mechanics just did me in. I just remember, I remember walking in the first class, and the professor told us if we made a 20 on the exam, we were doing very well. First exam, the highest score I think was about 25. The average was 10. So that's how much I enjoyed quantum mechanics. I'm glad I only needed one course. So when I've come to this discussion of evolution and problems in evolution, I want to give you that background because I'm going to approach it a little bit from the way I was taught and learned through engineering and then from this geologist. A lot of things that we do, and it's too in the business that I have now, that I read a lot, and I have become very skeptical about everything that I read. I know that when I pick up the New York Times, it has a certain slant. I pick up the Wall Street Journal, it has a slant. I pick up the American Spectator or any of these other magazines, I know what the slant of that article is. When I turn on the television, if I choose to watch Fox News, I know the general tone, MSNBC, NBC, I know all those things. When I read an article, I now go down and start looking at footnotes and to see what the background is of that person. So what I'm suggesting tonight is that everything that we do, whatever that I say, if you disagree, totally disagree with it. But the main thing is that you go and search for yourself. I don't have the answers. There's a lot of this I don't know. We're going to go through some of the things that science and the Bible disagree on, supposedly. But the basis of this is that science and the Bible should not disagree. The disagreement becomes with theology and scientists who have either bad science or bad theology or a combination of both. All right, so that's our premise. From the first study, if we look at counterfeit goods, what happens for a counterfeit? The FBI, the Secret Service, who are in charge for counterfeits, spend a lot of time looking at the original. That's the way they can spot a fake. You go to a master artist, someone who is to appraise artwork. To determine what is fake, they spend an enormous amount of time studying the real thing. So tonight we want to study the real thing. What I believe is that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And that God created man in his own image. And the image of God, he created him male and female. Most of the questions that we have come into the discussion of man versus ape in that theory of evolution. I also believe that we need to be totally silent when the Bible is silent and speak only when the Bible speaks. I feel that there's some things in the creation account that God just doesn't say. So I choose to keep it simple and just leave it out. I don't think personally, I found it works very well. I don't know something, the Bible's not in there, I don't know. I have over the junior high and high school 35 years plus ago. It has now got to the point to serve me well. I can stand up with a chemist, a biologist, an anthropologist, a geologist, and have the discussion. They can totally blow me away with the scientific evidence or something that they know. But they come down to the same point. Was there a God? What created? What was the cause and effect? So I'm telling you tonight, God has given us everything that we need to do to answer all of these questions. To be confident when we stand up for someone if they ask us a question. I talked to Phil at the whatever we had out at the carnival today. He said he just did a spot check of people at his office. I'm not going to go into what he's discussing. So I did that also with my office about who really cares about creation. Most people really did care. They had a belief that God created it, but outside of that, it did not concern them. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the premise that God created the heavens and earth. In Romans chapter 1, verse 20, I believe Gary brought this up. It says, "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that men are without excuse." There's 2 points there. His eternal power and divine nature. The eternal power means that God is timeless. God is not constrained by time. God does not live in the same dimension as we do. You and I are used to working on the XYZ plane with time. God works in a totally different dimension. There's some string theories, some quantum theories that are going around right now that are going up to 10 to 11 potential dimensions to work on. But they still fail to answer the question, where did everything start from? Look over at Acts chapter 17, verses 24 to 28. It says that God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth, and does not live in temples built by hands. And he is not served by humans' hands, as if he needed anything, because he himself gives all men life and breath and everything else. From one man he made every nation of men, that they should inhabit the whole earth. And he determined the times set for them, the exact places where they should live. God did this so that man would seek him, and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being. As some of your own poets have said, we are his offspring. So we have 2 good scriptures there, and then back in Genesis chapter 1, which we have read, that talks about, says, in the beginning God created. So now I want to just look at what a scientist says. I think we all can respect Albert Einstein. We may not agree with his final religious beliefs, but he was a very intelligent scientist. We can agree there. He stated that science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind. When I heard that several decades ago, I said, that makes sense. I should not have to apologize for believing that God created the earth. I should be able to sit in a science class, a biology class, a physics class, and if it's a question to me, have confidence that look at what God made. How he did some particular things I may not know, but his handiwork is shown in all that is accomplished. There's also a popular belief that you cannot prove the existence of God. Well, from a scientific standpoint, in talking about in human terms, that's absolutely true. We cannot prove in human terms because we are in our own dimension. God is in cannot prove that in human terms. But that's where faith comes in. And I told you that's how we have that movement over faith, because we look at the body of evidence. We look at everything that was made. We look at the creation. We look at the cells. We look at geology. We look at everything that's made and say, you know, the body of evidence weighs toward there is a God, and I believe that. So then the question becomes, which is right and which is wrong? Another point that I say, I do not believe that God is a God that's there to deceive us. I think He is one who His nature is one of love and care and openness. And in the scripture we read, it says we seek Him, and He wants us to seek Him. If a geologist or a scientist or mathematician is looking to find God, I think he can find Him. I don't think God is playing tricks on people. Now, what the scientists and geologists and anthropologists may not quite get is how He actually accomplished anything. So I'm open to some room there.